All right, we're about to dive into a pretty wild concept from our source material. It's this idea that our lives might be running on these hidden genetic scripts, influencing us in ways we don't even realize.
You know that feeling, right? Like you're on a treadmill, going through the motions of life, work, family, buying stuff, almost like you're following a script that someone else wrote. Well, the source material we're looking at today has a very, very specific explanation for why that might be.
To really get a handle on this, the text tells us we need to zoom way out. I'm talking cosmic scale. We're going all the way back 4.2 billion years to what it calls the origin of genetic Sansara programs. So, this timeline, wow, it lays out this incredible cosmic drama. It all kicks off 4.2 billion years ago when these programs are first created. Then an entity the source calls Ball apparently hijacks them to gain control. And that brings us to today, where a system it calls the Matrix supposedly uses these programs to manage all of us. But check out that last point. The text claims that this whole system started to shift back in 1991.
So, what are these things really? According to the source, we're not just talking about, bad habits or social pressure. The claim here is that these are actual scripts hard-coded into our DNA, and their supposed purpose? To trigger negative behavior, drain our energy, and keep us locked in a cycle of reincarnation called Sansara.
And this is where it gets super specific. The source doesn't just stop at the big idea. It actually identifies 10 primary programs that it says are the main gears in this whole control cycle.
Yup, 10 of them. The text says that while there might be a bunch of smaller ones, these 10 are the heavy hitters. They're kind of like the main operating system for the whole cycle. Okay, let's look at the first 5, and you'll start to see how they target the very core of human life. According to the source, the family program is designed to boil our life's meaning down to just having kids. Work is framed as a meaningless routine just to drain us. And get this, even things we think we enjoy, like public holidays and travel, are described as systems for collecting our energy and money. And finally, career is painted as just an illusion, a big rat race.
In the next 5, they dig even deeper into our psychology. Consumerism is about giving us a false sense of purpose through just stuff. Funerals are said to literally bind us to the structures of death. The source even talks about a cult of old age that promotes what it calls energy vampirism by making old age painful and prolonged. And that's backed up by a mortal worldview that just makes us accept death as a given, and an attachment to home that supposedly tethers our energy to a physical place. So this is the big question, right? How does this whole system actually work on a day-to-day basis? Well, the source lays out a really clear step-by-step mechanism for how these genetic programs are supposedly triggered in our lives.
It's described as a simple 3-step loop. So first, some event, either internal or external, flips the switch on one of these programs in your DNA. Second, as you go along with it, your body has a hormonal surge. And third, this is the crucial part, the source claims the matrix then harvests the energy released in that moment. It's a total bioenergetic feedback loop. And this really lays out the choice the text presents. It's pretty stark. On one side, if you follow the programs, you get unconscious behavior, your energy gets drained, and you're stuck in the cycle. But on the other side, rejecting them, supposedly, leads to conscious freedom, you keep your energy, and you find a way to break the whole cycle. But wait, there's one more claimed benefit that's pretty shocking.
Yeah. The text makes this incredibly bold claim that simply by being aware of and rejecting these programs, a person can add 20 to 30 years to their physical life. It directly connects your conscious choices to a radically longer lifespan. But the story doesn't just leave us there. The final part of this whole narrative suggests that this entire system is already changing, that there's a fundamental shift happening right now, at the genetic level. And this might be the most hopeful claim in the entire text. It asserts that since 1991, people have actually been born with a new kind of DNA, one that's naturally free of these Sansara programs. It suggests a future where humanity is just inherently independent of all these control systems. And that brings us to the end. I mean, we've just covered a 4.2 billion year story of alleged genetic control. It's a lot to take in. So the final question is really for you to think about. Looking back at that list of 10, which of these so-called programs, if any, feels the most active in your own life?